Peace and good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the File Playland. As always, I'm your file player. I wanted to make this video regarding a topic I may have touched on in the past, but I didn't really go into depth as far as my description of my affinity for the show The Wire on HBO. I think that The Wire is the best show of all time, and it's not just my opinion. Um, TV Guide, more than 10 years ago, rated The Wire as the best show of all time, which I agree with their disposition as far as that, you know, they're agreeing with me, and if you will. But if they made that, if they had that thought 10 years ago or more, like I think it still carries today because I don't think there was another show that came after that, including Game of Thrones, Boardwalk Empire, um, Sons of Anarchy. I didn't watch that shit. What else? That zombie show, Walking Dead. Like I don't think any of those shows. I didn't watch that shit either. But I don't think any of those shows could have surpassed like The Wire. And I don't even gotta watch those shows. But like The Wire was like the realest show ever. If you haven't watched it, you should. I mean, like when I first heard about it, I thought it was like a hood show, and I was living in DC at that time. Like, and a lot of the dudes I was cool with, um, you know, just because I'm cool with a lot of people, like doesn't mean I'll watch anything that they'll recommend. Like I don't watch any of the Marvel movies or fucking Mortal Kombat, King Kong versus Godzilla, um, action movies. I hate movies like that. Like I never watch shit like that. Um, like if I watch an action movie, it's probably like 300, and that was like years ago. And I ain't go seek out another action movie since then. Like, but like I usually watch like documentaries or I like HBO shows because they're like character development and like building up slowly, or when they take times to build up, like they don't usually build up to like something whack. And The Wire was like the best at doing that. You know, um, it only had 5 seasons, and this is more for like people that did watch it than the people that haven't watched it. I'm not like if you, I think you should like right now when there's not a lot of shows coming out like post lockdown, like I think you should watch The Wire if you haven't watched it. But if you did watch it, I mean, this is more of a video for you because like this is more of my showing appreciation for the show. Um, but it was just a real ass show. I mean, there weren't really no good guys and no bad guys. Like at no point of the show was I rooting for them to catch, Avon Barksdale or the way the show finessed you in season 5, like where you kind of like Marlo is like the illest dude ever. Like he's a demon, which you run into those like in the hood, like just people that are like, inertly like fucked up people. But by the end of when the show's like wrapping up, like in season 5, you're not rooting for anybody. You're not really rooting for Omar. You're not really rooting for Marlo not to get caught. You're not really rooting for Carcetti, the mayor, when he already becomes the mayor. You know, you're not rooting for McNulty like to catch Omar or to you like see all these people for like what they are, and like they have a lot of like warts and like fucking like demons that they carry with them. If you are rooting for anybody at the end, it's like for the younger cats like Michael, which and and Dookie at the end. Um, but it's a really sad show. It's the only show that really gave light to how it is in the hood. Like I hate when like a lot of these people do like hood shows now, like or like Chirac or Power. like where it kind of makes it seem like like there's a future and all that shit, or like if you make it halfway there, that it's you'll be okay and you'll like roll into this position, and then at the end of it you're gonna be Jay-Z and run Rockefeller Records. Like, no, like everybody in the hood, like for the most part, like fucking is extremely fucked in the game. Like, I mean, if it does teach you a little bit of shit here and there, like it's you know not very many people like could take those tools and like put it like into like a real world situation, like when they're in their 30s and 40s. Like, a lot of hood dudes when they're in their 30s and 40s, they just look like burnouts, or they try to impress like young dudes, fucking and end up right back in jail. And The Wire didn't try to dress up anything and like fucking make things romantic, or you know like it just showed like um people that were sophisticated, like Stringer Bell, um that were that had like a really grimy underbelly. They had people like Avon that were like really like had morals and like really followed the rules of the streets, but got exposed by like a younger guy like Marlo Stanfield, who didn't give a shit about any of the old rules of the street, and like was really following what the streets were becoming and what they eventually became like nowadays. Like, and every hood's the same. Like, I don't care if you're in Baltimore, like, in New York, in Memphis, like, Penns Grove, New Jersey, like, all hoods are the same. Like, and I learned that like, reluctantly, like, because a lot of times, like, coming from New York, I thought I like, when I would go elsewhere, like, that you could just roll over on other people, like, and it's not the case. I mean, like, you know, there were people that were tougher than me in New York, and there were people that were tougher than me in Delaware. It's not that like, I'm a fucking chump, but it is what it is. Like, you know, the game is the game, and the hood is the hood. And when I started going to DC, and in DC, there's some people that are from Baltimore and Maryland. You would hear them talking like they sound like, to me, like they sounded like country. Like, and I would think like, maybe these people like live in the suburbs and they just happen to be like, black or Spanish. But that's not the case. Like, I mean, like, a lot of those people like lived in hoods, like, that put, my hood like, or made my hood look like pretty nice. Um, and I didn't learn that from The Wire. You know, I learned that pre-Wire, but um, I did go to Baltimore after watching The Wire. Like, and I didn't go like because of The Wire. I went because my brother had to do his fucking taxes. And he went to this hood ass spot in Baltimore, and that shit was rough as shit. Like, I think the area was called like Hilton Avenue or Hilton Street, and there were like some good parts of it, and there were like some extremely shitty parts just on that strip. But that time I didn't go like to the hood of Baltimore. I did go to the hood afterwards. Um, but you know, that was like my somewhat indoctrination. The Wire first, and then going there afterwards. Secondly, but besides all that though, it's just a fantastic show. Every character in the show has a lot of depth to him. Like, whether you talk about McNulty, Bunk Moreland, Kima Greggs, Lieutenant Daniels, um, Marlo Stanfield, Avon Barksdale, fucking Weebay, um, Pooh, um, I forgot Pooh's light skinned homeboy, Michael, Dookie, um, forgot Weebay's son's name too, the kid with the long hair. But anyway, like, it like it doesn't like rush through things, and like it takes Omar, it doesn't like rush through and like take these characters in and out of the show. Like, and at that show at that time, like this was like HBO's like one of HBO's like first big shows, and HBO like with Game of Thrones, let's say, like Game of Thrones had that problem like where um the guy that was fucking Daenerys in like season 3, he got offered to do a movie elsewhere, so they had to change the character. Um, and there was somebody else whose character they changed. Like they didn't have to change the character; they had to change the actor playing the character, and it sucked. Whereas like with The Wire, everybody who was there, you know, like was there for the long term because like at that time HBO like these series shows didn't have like as much fanfare. Like I think maybe Sopranos finished afterwards. It did finish after The Wire finished. So they didn't have that big draw with The Wire. Like The Wire was like more something like, you were watching like as it was happening like and appreciating it. But like a lot of the world didn't catch up to it. I still run into a lot of people, even like hood dudes that haven't watched The Wire yet. And I mean like it's a shame like, I was kind of like associating it with like fucking some Tyler Perry shit at first, and that's why I didn't want to watch it because I just don't watch like a lot of dumb shit. Like I don't watch action stuff, like I said, but it doesn't if it doesn't make you think like I don't really fuck with it. I don't watch a lot of TV anyways. But The Wire is just in a whole classification by itself. And now that my son's older, like I'm getting the opportunity to watch the show with him, and we're about to finish like the series. I've been watching it with him for the past couple of months, and it's cool. I mean, like my son's 19 now, and I wasn't gonna watch it with him when he was younger. I did start when he was younger, but there's some sex scenes, and I wasn't about to watch a show with him while Keema Greggs is fucking eating some broad's dugout. I have morals like that. Fucking not liberal, like in that sense, like fucking where I'm gonna let the TV guide my son's sex ed, if you will, or you know, I make the standard here, and then that's just awkward. Even if my son were 30, I wouldn't watch. I have a lot of trepidation as to what I show him. The Wire's like sex scenes don't go all over the top like that, like so. I guess it was cool, and I fast forward it if it's like too crazy. Particularly like the lesbian scenes and shit like that, like fucking like I run through those with my son. Dolly, Kima's hot, like fucking. But with my son, nah, I can't do that. But I guess like the reason I'm making this video too is like a little bit of retrospect or hindsight, if you will. Now that I'm about to finish the series, and now that I watched it again, and am watching it with somebody who didn't watch it in the past, like just wanted to make this video to show my appreciation for the show, the finest show on TV, and it's not just my opinion; it's also TV Guide's opinion, which I think TV Guide was a serious outfit in its day. Maybe it is now. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. With that, I'm out. Peace.